Shalonda went and quenched.
Go ahead. Might as well get it out of the way.
I know you probably talked about this. Just talk about her last game. I mean, was it one of the most impressive games that you had seen one of your players have since you've been here?
You know, it's funny because until I heard the announcement at the end of the game, I didn't really have any concept of where she was. You know, and then as I didn't even hear you say her name, but you said, you know, you were talking about, you know, there's only been 4 in school history or something like that, and I just thought, wow, I bet she had a triple-double. And then, you know, that you came up with, you know, you had announced that, and she was missing it too, so I called her name, I said, listen, and then, you know, you said triple-double for Shea Winton, and it's kind of something that, well, the assists are really something that she loves, and she's wanted, you know, she was really disappointed. I think it was at Indiana, she had 9 assists, and she was really trying to break into that double-figure assists. But I think this last game, she did all those things without really consciously making an effort for one or the other. We felt at one point of the game that we needed to ride her and force them to stop her. So we got her inside and got her the ball, and she was doubled, tripled, even sometimes they sent 4 players at her, and she finds her teammates. And then we hit shots, so that always helps. But you know, I say it over and over, Shea does everything for us. I mean, she scores, she rebounds, she assists, she's, you know, shoots the most free throws, she's one of our best defenders. You name it, she does it all. She's a very complete player, and she's really thriving in this role that she has of you know, being our go-to player.
A lot of her assists are from when she's at the top of the key. Is that a good place for her to look and see where kind of you have the rest of your floor spaced out? Well,
I actually just reviewed the film this morning and last night, and I saw her first, she had a couple, probably 4 or 5 of her assists were from the middle of the paint, where she gets into the middle and either she's posting up and dishes, or she cuts into the middle and she draws all kinds of attention, or drives into the middle and kicks out. Her first assist was a post up, and Kirsten went backdoor on the wing and she dumped it to her. She has several to the players standing in the corners, you know, when she gets the ball inside. And then the other way she assists, I know she did both for Corey and for Honesty, was from the wing in our Carolina offense when there's a backdoor cut from the top, and she can hit that cutter for a layup. And actually, she probably had 2 or 3 other passes that were too high that went through our hands and out of bounds. But she just clearly understands the game and the concept of what's happening in our offense, and she sees things happen as they're happening. And so, you know, she's willing to make that pass, and she makes some mistakes making those passes, but she makes some great things happen as well.
Well, you only played 7 players, but you had 5 of those 7 scoring double digits. Was that kind of by design? Was that just how things kind of unfold? You know, were you going in not expecting to go deep into the rotation? Was it just...
Do I ever go deep into the rotation? I don't know. You know, I think the thing that I was thinking about in my mind was that we got every kid except Shea a breather in the first half, which we rarely do. I mean, a lot of kids play the whole first half. So we were able to get Kirsten, Corey, Honesty, and Imani a breather, and we did that with Haley and Jasmine, because we can play 3 bigs with Haley, Imani, and Shea, and so I can give a breather to a guard, but I can also put Jasmine in, and Jasmine is really the one that I can put in to give Kirsten a breather, or we could have Honesty around the point. But it's never really, I always have intentions of going deeper than I
so you're saying it's more so dictated by what's going on out on the floor than, hey, I need to get some minutes here, I need to...
Yeah, I mean, you know, there are times when I'd really love to give Shea a break, but I would rather take a timeout than, you know, it's just not, we're just not to that point where we're able to establish a big enough lead where I feel comfortable, you know, substituting for periods of time, especially with some of our key players. So, I think my main objective is to keep 3 of our starters on the floor all the time, and which 3 is dependent upon who's producing. And notoriously, if I sub for someone, if there's someone sitting at the scores table, that kid is going to hit a shot or make a big play. But that's the way it is. Sometimes I sub just so that they will hit a shot. No, I'm just kidding. So anyway, I always have intentions of going a little bit deeper in the bench and playing a few more players. I never quite get as deep as I want to. So hopefully, though, as we mature and grow as a team, there will be more time and more minutes to be distributed.
Did you ever envision her being the second-leading scorer in the country?
I guess I never really thought about that. When we recruited her, I remember watching her before she had committed to us and thinking, do we really have a shot at this kid? I mean, she does it all. And she passed like that in high school, too. Maybe didn't have as many assists, but she passed like that. And played for an up-tempo team and, was well coached. And so, I actually was waiting for her to make a decision. And she was playing in a tournament, and I was going to a tournament that was nearby. And I said, if I don't hear from her by this date, then I'm going to go to this other tournament, and I'm not going to go to the tournament that she's playing in. And I didn't hear from her. And I was sitting at the other tournament, and hers was like, 5 miles away. So I got in my car because I knew what time she was playing. I got in my car, went over and watched her. And when I watched her, I was like, oh, I'll wait. I'll just keep waiting because this kid's really special. And so we knew she was going to be a really great addition, but knowing these numbers, what she's capable of, I don't know if you ever know. You hope, but I don't think
Did
you
she
ever
have a lot
really
of
know.
schools recruiting her?
She did, but she was a kid who was real late in getting a test score and just qualifying. So some people dropped off of her in the meantime, and so we just waited, and she wasn't that far away, so we felt like she was going to be able to get the score she needed and get the grades she needed in school. So she's a smart kid. She just needed to learn how to apply herself because she would like to spend 99% of her time in the gym and much less time in the classroom. But she's really grown in all aspects.
How about the free throw shooting last game? 19 of 21 second half?
Let's not talk about that. Free throws have been a real
adventure.
They've been a real point of emphasis, I guess. Or we like you said before, you try not to talk about it too much, or or don't do enough of it. And at one point we're finding ourselves in 2 or 3 consecutive games shooting 57% from the free throw line. And the first game of the year we shot 90%, and I think I said we're not a 90% free throw shooting team, but we're also not a 57% free throw shooting team. So to see, and what I've noticed here in the last few games, and hopefully it will continue, is that when it gets to be crunch time, seems to be a real focus in hitting those shots. We've been pretty good down the stretch. Now, I would also say we've had the right people shooting those free throws down the stretch as well. And there have been a couple occasions where I've taken kids off the floor in the last few minutes because I knew that they'd come foul them. So, but we're getting better. We're working on it a lot. And kids who are, shooting a low percentage, like Corey or like Imani, if you look at their last year's stats, I don't think they shot quite this poorly. And so they're probably not what they're capable of doing. And I see them in practice shooting a lot better. And Corey, I think, went 3 for 3 from the line as well. So.
Actually, I think Shea was the only one that even missed any free throws.
I think you're right.
But what do you think led to the discrepancy, though? Because you only take 4 in the first half, and then you get to the line for 21 in the second half.
Well, a couple things. I think you have to consider how many of those shots were in the last 3 minutes when they were trying to, make a comeback and they had to foul to stop the clock. So I would guess there were probably 10 of those free throws in the last few minutes. We also, in the second half, I thought we're shooting a lot of perimeter shots in the beginning, and when they went into the zone defense at the start of the second half, we really then just passed the ball around the perimeter and shot it. And I made a substitution. I put Haley in and put Shea at the high post. And Shea really likes to distribute the ball at the high post, and she also really likes to find Haley. I mean, I can see that in practice, and so we just felt like that would be a good, a good duo to have inside in our zone offense. And first play when Haley got in, she sealed for a high-low pass, and Shea hit her, and she scored. So, I also, you asked about free throws, and I'm getting off on a tangent, but we started to put Shea in the middle, then and put her down low and put somebody else up high, or we played 4 around 1, and said get that ball inside. And when you're sending 2 and 3 and 4 players at the post, I think there's a tendency to foul, and I think we got to the free throw line that way. I also have to say, after reviewing the film, that Shea was relentless. When she missed her shots, she just kept going back after it and going back after it, and perhaps got fouled even earlier
A couple that were
under the
blocked,
basket.
They blocked it. She got it right back. Missed it. Got it.
Yep. And so I think her aggressiveness under the basket led to some free throws as well.
Well, and has Haley kind of now somewhat emerged as that extra option off the bench? Because I know it's been, it was Kyle at one point, then it was Haley. It's gone kind of round and round.
Well, I think that what we're hopeful of is that she can continue to play the way that she's playing, and then she will be, she'll be a key player for us off the bench. And we still, obviously, I always get the questions about so few players playing and all of that. So, I think Jasmine needs to continue gaining some consistency, because she'll have a good game, and then she'll have a game where she isn't really productive. Still making some mistakes, of course, as a freshman, but that's to be expected. And so she has to gain some confidence and some consistency. And then, if we can find 1 or 2 others. I mean, I think what Haley does for me is let me say, okay, now we got that group. Now we need to focus on some others. It gives me a sense of just confidence that we've got at least 6 kids who are going to be consistent for us in a game in and game out situation. So.
You said that Haley always comes to practice, works hard. Are you hoping that other players see how you get playing time, that their effort in practice or that will improve? So it's like, hey, coach, I'm playing hard. Do they see that, or they not see that? Or
well, Haley has spent time over years, over all 3 years that she's been here. So our freshmen they don't really see that. They haven't seen that over the years. But I would say our kids practice hard. I would say that we have really turned a corner in that respect. If you would come to our practices now, come to our practices a year ago at this time, I would say our players from top to bottom are practicing very, very hard. So I think that is true. What I think the younger kids need to see is that it does eventually pay off. Sometimes it takes time, and everybody wants to play right away. Right. But you just keep working hard. And I mean, Haley has been in my office a number of times, just saying, what is my role? What can I do? How can I help? And I keep saying to her, there's just no way that someone can work as hard as you do and never find a way to play. And so. I'm really happy for her that it is. I mean, you hope that it does. She doesn't go through her whole career and that never comes to fruition. But it has started to for her, and I think she's starting to see. And as she gains more confidence, she's even going to get better.
Well, that's one thing I think you even see with her when she's out there is she isn't as wide-eyed that I'm out here.
Yeah.
And I think she definitely giving you a boost when she's
out there. She sure is.
Not asking you to name any players of that. Other players coming in and saying, what do I need to do to get time, or to get, to do whatever it is I have to do to get on the floor?
Of course, we always have that. My assistants, get a lot of questions about that. What can I do, to break in? Does she even notice me? That kind of thing.
Right.
And so we, it's just really about consistency, and we talk to them about that all the time. It's difficult That I would say that's one of the most difficult things, is seeing a kid as a freshman or even as a sophomore and having a vision for them and knowing that in time what they are going to be able to contribute is what they want to contribute. You know, I had that conversation with Honesty King a number of times. Now remember, Honesty redshirted her first year as a freshman, and as a redshirt freshman, she was playing behind Angel and Jessica Roque. And so she spent 2 years here. First year, she never saw the floor one time because she was a redshirt. Second year, I don't know if she saw the floor 3 times. I mean, she just didn't play. And she had a hard time seeing that it would ever change or that I would ever see her as a significant player on the team. I think a lot of kids have that same perspective when they're young. And, you know, I can sit here and say, your time is coming, your time is coming. But, you know, they want their time to be now. And so that's difficult. I think it's difficult for any kid. It's difficult for any parent. But, you know, we have kids that work hard and they're good kids and come from good families, and it will pay off for them. And I'm just hopeful they keep plugging away. I mean, they have 2 options, right? They have the option to not try anymore or to really keep their nose to the grindstone. So I think they're going to continue to improve.
Following Sunday's game, you got a good stretch here of home games.
Yeah.
Of course, the flip side of that is then later in the season you'll have a long stretch of road games. Is it important, or how do you view that, seeing that you're going to have 8 of 9 at home following Sunday?
Is that right? Well, we don't think much about that. We just try to plug away one after the other. So, you know, I'm thinking right now that, you know, our kids are going to be coming out of finals now. They've had Sunday, Monday, Tuesday off of practice. We shot a little bit on Tuesday. We'll practice Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday for our Sunday game. And my thought really is about not that this is a road game, but that they'll be done with finals. And I always see a difference in our kids right after finals, that they feel this major load off their shoulders, and now they're free. Now this stretch of games that we have coming up, I view it as the stretch of games where there are no classes and there is no homework and that stretch is really important because there shouldn't be a lot of other distractions. There aren't even really a lot of other students on campus. So I'm just, you know, I don't necessarily look at the home and away, although our kids, you know, commented in the locker room about protecting our home court after this last game and just the success that we've been able to have at home. We've played well at home, I think, and really we've played much better over the last several games. So I'm excited about being at home. That'll be really nice for us. But I'm even more excited about, you know, them getting through the finals and being able to really focus on basketball. And that'll be nice. That'll be nice.
Could you talk about Tennessee State?
Yeah. Well, we played them last year and played them at home and beat them, but they were a very athletic and very aggressive team. They still are. They have everyone back. Pretty much everyone is back from last year. They have a new coach, however, and I've known him for years. He's an excellent coach. I see a difference in their team. And obviously he has different roles for different kids. I mean, I think there's been a little bit of change in how each kid is utilized. But he's getting a lot out of them. I think they're going to be, as far as athleticism, I think it's going to be a very similar, they're going to have a similar team to us. They're as quick and as athletic, and, you know, they pressure probably harder than anybody we've seen thus far. But they really get extended. They deny in the passing lanes, and you hope that with a back-cutting offense, you can take advantage of that. As long as you can handle the pressure on the ball, you should be able to find open opportunities with how hard they pressure. They're bigger than us, but isn't everyone? Let's see, what else do I know about them? They run a lot of set plays. They have a couple significant post players. a couple significant perimeter players. They have 2 kids that can really shoot the three. They're going to be a good matchup for us because they're very different from Miami of Ohio, very different from Indiana, very different. I guess in some ways similar to VCU, but maybe a little quicker. So I'm looking forward to this matchup. I think it'll be really good for us.
And then you got start of next month, the league kicks in.
Yeah.
What are you looking for your team in terms of progression? What are you looking for out of them between now and the start of the league?
Well, there's a few things that we really have to get a handle on before the league begins, and nothing bigger than trying to defend a primary focus post player. And honestly, we just have not had that yet on our schedule, but we absolutely will have it in conference. And so we've been able to, we've been able to work on some defensive philosophies that we can utilize against a good portion of our schedule. As far as defending post players, defending ball screens, that kind of thing. And it's been effective. However, we also know that those same strategies won't be effective when the primary focus is getting the ball in the paint. So we're going to have, and we know that we need to find a different strategy to defend those teams. And when I'm talking about ball screens, right now we're switching 1 through 5 ball screens. So, teams like Detroit are going to set a ball screen with their 5 player on our 1 player, and then they're going to take their big post player and post up our 1. And obviously that's not the strategy we're going to have against them. What's nice is that we've been able to work so many games on the strategy that we're doing now. And so when conference teams come and we can switch at all 5 positions, I think we'll be pretty effective at that. What we need is a few games where we can't do that, and then we need to get better at the strategy that we employ so that we're prepared. Moving forward, and I haven't had a chance to really, look ahead at any of these other films, but I'm hopeful that we're going to match up against some big old post players where we have to defend in a different manner. And the question would be, can't we do that against these teams? Well, we could, but we know that the strategy we're using right now would potentially work against these teams. So we don't want to lose a couple games while we're adjusting strategies. So.